UCLA has informed its quarterbacks that it plans to add Nico Iamaleava. Let's talk about what that means for UCLA, what that means for Big Ten, and what that means for college football. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is your jam, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Nico Iamaleava to UCLA is a great idea? He has not publicly committed to UCLA, but for about a week, that has been where all of the news has landed. And earlier on Easter Sunday, Pete Thamel at ESPN told us as much. A formal decision is expected soon, but we've got almost everything we need to know about Nico Iamaleava committing to transfer to UCLA. I think what we all want to know is, what are they going to pay him? And how is this going to be affecting, right? UCLA is not a great football team. It's not a bad football team. It's just an average football team. Does adding Nico Iamaleava to UCLA make them into a college football playoff contender? On its face, no. You need more to get closer to that. But Tino Cesare is one thing. Deshaun Foster is another. And then there's the UCLA part of this that I think is most interesting. I wonder how many people needed to okay this decision, because UCLA has been in a really interesting spot the last 5 years, right? It has gone from being the kind of program that we think can challenge a USC, dyslexia, my bad, a USC as the predominant school in the city of Los Angeles, to a program that was coming with USC to the Big Ten and all the change that would mean, right? Basically helping to crater the Pac-12 as it was formed. The Conference of Champions was no more in its previous form. Now it's going to return in a zombie form where they're going to, keep the name, the image, and the likeness and see what they can do. But I think, one, you've got a quarterback that has the potential to be good. Two, you've got a quarterback that's closer to home, and maybe that helps his development. Maybe it helps reset him. And three, you're going to have to talk about Nico Iamaleava a little bit more than you might want to, even if you already thought you were talking too much about a 5-star quarterback. Nico Iamaleava is going to serve as a symbol of what not to do in name, image, and likeness for the short term and perhaps for the long term. Tennessee is looking really good in this position, even as they've already tried to poach other quarterbacks from other rosters. Again, all's fair until it happens to you. This has been true at Tennessee too. Remember, they sued the NCAA so that they could sign Nico Iamaleava, and they could pay him well in advance of him getting to campus. Like, they are not above pushing the envelope to see what they can get away with, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I'm doing this segment after watching the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen bent the rules to his needs as he's going into turn 2. He does not have the position. He cannot get that car around. He lets off the brake. He cuts the apex. He stays out in front, and he says, look, Oscar didn't leave me room. Oscar Piastri, who was in second place. He was never going to make that corner, but by the letter of the law, he did what you were supposed to do if you think that you have an argument for being able to maintain the position because you didn't have room to make the corner. They end up handing him a 5-second penalty, but in this particular track, which is a go-kart track with 27 turns, more turns than any other circuit on the calendar, and is all corners, you want track position more than you would, you'd much rather take the 5-second penalty than give up the position, which is what Oscar wanted. Now, McLaren had the undercut on, and it ended up working, and perhaps the gamble didn't work for Verstappen. Would have been better off perhaps giving back a position, because the 5 seconds, he was within, right? He was about 2 seconds from overtaking Oscar there when the Grand Prix ended, and maybe you go steal this win away from a McLaren team that looks like it's got the best car across the board, and Max may have the 4th fastest car, and he is absolutely running that thing only he could. But again, that's what Tennessee was doing. Tennessee has taken every advantage that it could, and then some. Like, we saw Ohio State do this. The first name, image, and likeness national champion is the moniker they've been given. At UCLA, can you do this? We'll see. You need your quarterback. You have to have your quarterback. He has to be good. But you're also going to be playing a really tough Big Ten schedule. And I don't know how many UCLA fans looked at it, but you got Ohio State on the schedule this year. And Ohio State fans got to be looking at you going, did y'all not watch the tape from December? 42-17, 11 of 34, 104 yards, 14 of 31, 14 of 31 for 104. Nico was not great in that game. Well, RJ, that was playing against the eventual national champions. Well, he wasn't really great against most SEC opponents, if we're being honest about this. And this is a Tennessee team that got beat by Arkansas with Nico at quarterback. It's the same Arkansas that got stomped out, absolutely destroyed by Ole Miss and got beat by Oklahoma State. That's about the kind of company I expect UCLA to keep. Like, UCLA versus Arkansas feels like a fair fight right now. And I don't know that Arkansas is going to take that as a compliment, or UCLA would, because you're middling. Right now, you scream 6-6 to me. I don't think that Nico Iamaleava changes that. But if you think that he gets you closer to 9 wins than, say, 6-6, maybe you want to take that gamble. We're also be remiss, us living in the South, and Oklahoma is the South, as much as people don't want to say it. The first law in the state of Oklahoma was to segregate streetcars, guys. Oklahoma had an opportunity to choose to be a free state like Kansas, to be a slave state in Constitution, not in war, in Constitution, like Texas, and it chose to be like Texas, which is why Oklahoma has such a connection with Texas, among other things. This was also Indian territory before it was Oklahoma territory, before it was Oklahoma. All that to say, the taxes part of it plays into this, man. You go from a state that they gave us Andrew Johnson and Old Hickory that says, hell no, we're not going to have no state income tax, to a state that says, we're going to take 13% of your money. And that is before the federal government gets involved in how much money you're going to make. So even if they paid him $4 million, he's probably going to make closer to 2, and then he's going to have to shell that out to agents and whatnot that got him into this mess in the first place. I realize there's also a number of people that want to blame Nico Iamaleava's handlers and his father for how this went down, to which I'm going, nah, dog. Y'all give daddies way too much credit. Y'all really do. He's grown. The only person that cannot show up to practice is him. The only person that can tell his coaches that he is transferring is him. I'm not going to allow for somebody's daddy to take all the heat for a decision that comes down to one person. One person. The guy with the ball in his hands. The quarterback. Nico Iamaleava. Now, UCLA gets an opportunity to rebuild his image, but it already sounds like he feels like this is being unfair to him. And there is a number of folks that believe that there's more to the story. There's always more to a story. There's always more to a story. But if you thought you were right, and if you thought you were in the right, you would be a little bit more aggressive, I think, about this, right? You'd also be a little bit more willing to talk about this and what had gone on. But there's nothing to gain there. There's nothing to gain. There's only leverage that you're going to give up. The best thing that he could do from a business standpoint is be quiet. The best thing he could do from an image standpoint is perhaps start talking. But, they're probably going to wrap their arms around him at UCLA and give him all the support that he needs. My only ask in all of this is that you learn from what happened at Tennessee and you make it work at UCLA as best you can. Because right now, you've gone from being what we thought was perhaps a top 5 draft pick in the upcoming draft, given your potential, to a guy that might have a reputation that he has to defend come NFL draft season, and defend it in earnest.